It was a warm summer day, and I was so sleepy. I remember wondering whether it might be fun to make a daisy chain. But that would mean getting up and picking the daisies. And I was so sleepy. Then suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran by. It was a most unusual rabbit. It actually took out a watch from its pocket and spoke to itself.
Oh dear! Oh dear! Too late! Too late! Oh dear! Oh dear! Too late! Too late!
I started to my feet and followed the rabbit across the field. It hopped and jumped. And I hopped and jumped right behind it. Then it popped down a large hole, and the next minute, I popped down after it. Either the hole was very deep, or I fell very slowly, for I had lots of time to look around and think. I thought of school and my lessons and Dinah. Dinah's our cat. I wish Dinah was with me, but then she might not like it here. There are no mice. There might be bats. But the question is, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? Or for that matter, do bats eat cats? Do bats eat cats? Do bats eat cats? Bats and cats, cats and bats, bats and cats, cats and bats. Oh, dear. Well, this might have kept up for hours, but then I landed on the bottom. I wasn't hurt in the least, so I got to my feet in time to see the white rabbit hurrying down the passage and disappearing out of sight. I was in a long, low hall with doors all around, but the doors were locked. I was beginning to wonder if I should ever get out when I saw it. A little three-legged table made of glass, and nothing on it at all except a key. A tiny golden key that wouldn't fit any of the doors. Some were too big, and some were too small. And the key wouldn't open any of them. But then I found that in my haste, I missed a door, a very little door. I tried the key, and it fitted. But I was much too big to go through the door, so I got down on my hands and knees and peeked inside. There was the most beautiful garden you've ever seen. I wanted so to go into the garden on the other side of the door, but I was too tall. I wish I knew how to fold up like a telescope. Maybe there's a book of rules on how to fold up like a telescope. I looked and looked and looked, but all I could find was a bottle. And on the front of the bottle was a sign. It said, "Drink me." All right, I will drink you. Now I wonder what will happen to me. What a curious feeling. I do believe I'm getting smaller. Well, what do you think? I'm folding up like a telescope. And there I was, about 10 inches high. I was small enough to go through the door, but Now I couldn't reach the table to get the key. So I sat down and cried, which was very silly because, of course, it did no good at all. Come, Alice, I said to myself, leave off crying this instant, or I'll box your ears. Have you ever tried to box your own ears? It's very hard to do, but it works. And then I saw it. A little round cake covered with raisins. And the raisins spelled out, "Eat me." So I ate it. I wondered if the cake would make me taller or smaller. Which way? Which way? Taller or smaller? Oh, I was taller. Almost 9 feet high. My head hit the ceiling. Now I could reach the key on the little table. I picked it up and ran back to the door. Oh, me! Oh, me! I was too big again to go through the door to the beautiful garden on the other side. So once again, I sat down and cried, which was very silly because, of course, it did no good at all. Just then, back came the white rabbit. Hippity-hop! Hippity-hop! It was wearing white gloves and carried a fan and muttered to himself as he ran.
Oh, the Duchess! Oh, the Duchess! Who'll treat me angry if I'm kept away? Oh, the Duchess! Oh, the Duchess! Who'll treat me furious if I'm kept away?
If you please, sir, could you tell me?
What? Oh, dear!
I must have frightened the white rabbit, for he dropped his gloves and fan and hurriedly hopped away. I picked up the gloves and fanned myself. It was growing quite warm, and I felt very queer. Things are not the same, I thought. Not the same as today, or yesterday, or the day before that. I wonder if I can remember anything I used to know. I know. I'll try saying, "How doth the little?" But somehow or other, I don't believe the words will come out quite right. How doth a little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spread his claws, and welcomes little fishies in with gentle smiling jaws. I'm quite sure those were not the right words. Really and truly, I must be dreadfully mixed up. Then I noticed it. While I was singing, I put on the white rabbit's gloves. Now, how could I have possibly done that? Unless I'm getting smaller again. I am getting smaller again. Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Oh my goodness, it's the fan! The faster I fan, the smaller I get. Drop the fan! Drop the fan! Oh my! That was a narrow escape. Another second and I'd have been gone entirely. As it is, I'm practically nothing at all. My chin's touching my shoe. Oops! Splash! I'm in the water! Salt water! Could it be the ocean? Oh, that's impossible. Why, I know what it is. It's my own tears that I wept when I was 9 feet tall. I'm swimming in an ocean of my own tears. Oh, dear. There's someone else swimming in here, too. Or should I say something else? Why, it's a mouse. Hello, Mr. Mouse.
Hello, indeed. You have a nerve to speak to me after what you've done.
Well, what have I done?
You've practically cried an entire ocean. That's what you've done. And we'll drown. That's what'll happen. We'll drown.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Mouse. I didn't mean to cry, but I'm not used to all this.
I suppose you think I'm used to it. If there's anything I can't stand, it's water. Especially if it's wet.
I know. Dinah doesn't like water either.
And who, may I ask, is Dinah?
Our cat.
Oh, your cat. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you don't like cats.
Would you like cats if you were a mouse?
Well, no, I don't suppose I would.
Hate cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things.
Well, perhaps you'd rather talk about dogs. There's a farmer lives near us, and he has a beautiful little terrier. You know, the kind that does tricks, and he sits up, chases bones, kills rats, and...
Great-grandfather.
Oh, I am sorry. Oh, please don't swim away, Mr. Mouse. Come back, or at least wait for me. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was the mouse. Who are you?
What do I look like?
Well, you look like a duck.
Isn't that funny? I am a duck.
My lake of tears was filled with all sorts of creatures. Besides the mouse and the duck, there were...
I'm a Lorry.
Yeah, I'm a dodo.
I'm an eaglet.
Swim for shore!
Swim for shore! Swim for shore! And swam, and swam, and swam, and swam, and soon we were safe on dry land. But we were all very wet, and the first problem was to get dry. So each one made a suggestion. The lorry suggested...
Let's fan ourselves.
Oh, no, that'll make me smaller, and I'm only your size now. Suggest something, Dad.
Let's shake our feathers.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. I don't have any.
Nonsense. Of course she hasn't. I, the eaglet, suggest that we fly and fly and fly until we are dry.
But I can't fly.
Of course she can't, and neither can I. If you must get dry, I, the mouse, will give you a lecture on English history. It's the driest thing I know. Listen. Now, are you ready? Lecture on English history. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favored by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria... What was that?
My indigestion. Excuse us, please. Proceed.
Yes, do proceed. This is getting drier and drier.
Well, that's why I'm telling it. To continue, even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable...
Found what?
Found it. You know what it means.
I know what it means when I find something. Being a duck, it would be a worm or a frog. The question is, what kind of it did the Archbishop find?
I shall ignore you. Are you getting dry, my dear?
No, I'm as wet as ever. I'm afraid your lecture isn't dry enough to dry me.
Well, in that case, I, the dodo, have a suggestion. Well, the quickest way to get dry would be to have a caucus race.
Well, what's a caucus race?
You don't know? Why, it's really very simple. A caucus race, that is, well, a caucus race, the best way to explain it is to do it.
Then the dodo marked out a race course. He said the exact shape didn't matter. And no one cried, "Get on your mark. Ready. Go." Oh, no. Everyone began running when they liked and stopped when they liked. So it wasn't easy to tell when the race began or when it was over. But we ran and ran and ran.
Stop! The race is over! Stop, everybody! Wait! Wait a minute!
Tell us who won, Dodo.
Why, everybody won!
What do you mean?
Yes, everybody won, so all must have prizes!
Just a minute. Who is going to give the prizes? Oh, now stop that. Who is going to give the prizes?
Well, let's see, prizes. Oh, yes, prizes. Why, she is.
Me?
Prizes! We want
Really,
prizes!
I don't think I... Well, on the other hand, maybe it's a... Why, so I have. It was lucky. I had some crackers in my pocket, and they were in a box and didn't get wet. So I passed them around for prizes, except that when I had finished, there was nothing left for me.
Now, just a minute. That isn't fair. She hasn't a prize for herself.
Haven't you anything else in your pocket?
Well, yes, but it's only a thimble.
Thimble?
She must have the thimble.
Give her
Now,
the
quiet, please. Hand it here. On behalf of myself and my colleagues, I beg to present you with this magnificent thimble, your prize for having run such a gallant race this afternoon, tomorrow, and tonight. Cheers, everybody!
Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, it's too bad Dinah isn't here to enjoy this with me.
Who's Dinah?
My cat. Oh, she's such a lovely cat. She catches mice, eats birds. Oh! Oh, dear, now I frightened them away. Look, they're on the floor. The little golden key. It must have fallen from the table. And now I'm small enough to go through the door. At last I can enter the beautiful garden on the other side. The first thing I saw when I entered the garden was a large caterpillar. He was smoking a pipe and looked so solemn that I was afraid to speak to him. But I did. I beg your pardon, sir.
What? Oh, I dare say, really. What's this? Oh, I say, really.
I'm sorry if I disturbed you.
No, you haven't disturbed me. Not in the least. Who are you?
Well, now that's what I keep wondering. I know who I was, but I think I must have changed since then.
What do you mean, change?
Well, first I grew smaller, and then I grew taller, and then I ungrew smaller again.
Deucedly interesting, deucedly quite.
And then I tried saying, "How doth the little busy bee?" And it didn't come out right.
Oh, you don't say. Quite. I say, have you tried old Father William?
Well, no, but I don't think...
Try it, old girl. Yes, quite. Never can tell. Every little thing helps, you know.
Well, all right.
You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white, and yet you incessantly stand on your head.
Do you think at your age...
That is right. In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain. But now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, I'd do it again and again. You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason for that? In my youth, said the sage, as he shook his grey locks, I kept all my limbs very supple. By the use of this ointment, $1 a box. Allow me to sell you a couple. You are old, said the youth. One would hardly suppose that your eye was as steady as ever. Yet you balanced a needle on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever? I have answered 2 questions, and that is enough, said his father, don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs.
Just as I thought. The song was wrong, and the caterpillar crawled away. Eventually, I came to a house where a footman with eyes like a fish stood outside. I went up to the house and knocked on the door. The footman just looked at me, bored.
It's no good knocking. There's no one at home but the Duchess and the baby. And they're both full of pepper.
Pepper?
Oh, my, yes. They put just lots and lots of pepper in the soup.
Well, what on earth for?
Because it helps their tempers, silly. Look out. They're starting again.
I didn't stay there long. What with the pepper and the Duchess throwing pots and pans and beating the baby, I had no desire to remain. I walked a while, and presently I came to a large table. It was set for 12, but only occupied by 3. One was the March Hare, one was the Mad Hatter, and one was a Dormouse. He was asleep. Do you mind if I sit down?
No room. No room.
That's right, no room.
Nonsense. There's plenty of room. I'll sit here.
Very well. Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, a riddle. Oh, I love riddles.
You mean to say you think you can answer it?
No, I'm not at all sure I can answer it.
Then why don't you say what you mean?
Well, I do. At least I mean what I say, and that's the same thing.
Not the same at all. You might just as well say, I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might just as well say, I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like. Hey, Dormouse?
Dormouse?
What? What? Oh, yes, to be sure. You might just as well say that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
With you, it is. Go back to sleep. What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
My watch is 2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
But it was the best butter.
The Dormouse is asleep again.
I have a brilliant idea. Let's pour some hot tea on his nose.
What? Oh, certainly. I was about to give the answer.
Quiet. This young lady was about to give the answer, weren't you?
Why, no. I give up. Why is a raven like a writing desk?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Well, I left that tea party in a hurry. I ran back into the garden, and then I noticed that one of the trees had a door leading right through it. So I went through the door. There, on the other side, stood a large white rose bush, and 3 of the funniest men were painting it red. They wore large cardboards for suits, and the boards were covered with hearts. One had 2 hearts, one had 5, and one had 7. I beg your pardon, gentlemen, but why are you painting that white rose bush red?
You tell her 5.
I'm busy. You tell her 7.
I'm busy too.
Well, why don't you tell me?
Well, you see, miss, this rose bush was supposed to be red, but it came out white. And if the Queen finds out about it, she'll send us.
Send you? Well, to what?
Off with their heads! Off with their heads! Off with their heads! Off with their... Well, what have we here?
Oh, my goodness. It's the Queen of Hearts.
Yes, and I'm the King of Hearts. Silence, worm!
The 2 and 5 and 7 ran, and all the other hearts began playing croquet, including the Duchess, who arrived full of pepper. Achoo! Achoo!
She brought along a cat that grinned, a Cheshire cat she said it was.
And it proceeded to disappear and appear at the most inopportune moments, much to the Queen's annoyance.
Off with its head! Off with its head! Off with its head!
Your Majesty, how can you behead a cat without a body?
Anything with a head can be beheaded. Off with its head!
Oh, now you frightened it. It's disappeared altogether.
It can't do that. I won't have it. Bring it back. Off with its head! Off with its head! Off with its head! Off with its head! Off with its head!
But the Cheshire cat had disappeared, so nothing could be done.
The Queen forgot about the cat and ordered everyone to play croquet. It was the funniest game you ever saw. We used hedgehogs for balls and flamingos for mallets. And just in case you've forgotten what hedgehogs and flamingos are, please look at their pictures in the dictionary. My hedgehog refused to roll up like a ball, and my flamingo's neck curled and uncurled. And just about the time I got the hedgehog to roll up like a ball, the flamingo raised its head from the ground, looked at me, and said,
Put me down! Put me down! Would you please put me down?
And so the game went on, but no one seemed to care. I tried my best to play, but the soldiers who were dressed as hearts were supposed to be the wickets. Just about the time I tried to drive my hedgehog through the wicket, the Queen would shout,
Off with its head! Off with its head!
and the soldiers dressed as hearts would unbend themselves as wickets and run to do the Queen's bidding. Well, this might have gone on indefinitely, but just then the Queen came up to me.
Alice, I want you to meet the Mock Turtle.
Mock Turtle? What's that? I mean, who's he?
It's the thing Mock Turtle soup is made of. Come, he shall tell you his sad, sad story.
The Mock Turtle was a curious beast. So sad, so terribly low. But he told me a story about a dance between a whiting and a snail. And this is the way it goes.
Will you walk a little faster? Said a whiting to a snail. There's a porpoise close behind this, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Won't you come and join the dance? Will you? Won't you? Will you? Won't you? Will you join the dance? La-da-dee-da. Will you? Won't you? Will you? Won't you? Won't you join the dance? You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea. But the snail replied, too far, and gave a look askance. Said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. La-da-dee-da.
Enough of this. It's time for the tarts.
Tarts?
Certainly tarts. We always have tarts at tea time. I made them myself.
Your Majesty, someone has stolen the tarts.
What? Off with everybody's head!
Oh, but you can't do that. If you behead everyone, there'll be no one left.
Are you arguing with me?
Well, I think it's perfectly ridiculous to go around ordering.
Silence! You shall be first. Hold this girl for trial. Off with her head! Off with her head!
The trial was the strangest thing of all. The king and the queen were the judges, and 12 creatures sat in the jury box. Some were animals, and some were birds, and they made an awful commotion. First came the hatter, then came the hare, followed by the dormouse. Yes, everyone was there.
March head to the stand! March head to the stand! Oh, dear! Are you the March Hare?
Yes, your Majesty.
What's that in your hand?
My teacup. I wasn't quite finished with my tea.
You ought to be finished. When did you begin?
He began in March. That's why he's a martyr.
Silence! Next witness. Next witness.
What? Oh, yes, certainly. It was the best butter. Why is it raving like a writing desk?
Silence! Next witness. Alice! Alice to the stand! Now, Alice, this is your chance to defend yourself. What have you to say?
Nothing. I don't see why I should say anything. I don't even know why I'm here. The whole thing is absolutely silly. I just realized. You can't hold a trial or sentence me, or do anything. You're nothing but a pack of cards. Then they all rose up and came fluttering down all over my hands and face. I fought them off and brushed them away, faster and faster and faster, and then... I woke up. My hands and face were covered with leaves that had fallen from the trees while I slept. Well, what do you think? It was only a dream. I dreamt the whole thing. The rabbit, the hatter, the hare, and the queen. And yet, I wonder. I remember singing...
How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale?
Surely I was awake with the caterpillar.
I have answered 2 questions, and that is enough. Said his father, don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs.
And the poor sad mock turtle. Can I have dreamt his story too?
Will you